Welcome to the fascinating world of behavioral psychology. In this video, we'll explore the foundational concepts that help us understand why people act the way they do. Behavioral psychology, sometimes called behaviorism, focuses on observable behaviors rather than internal thoughts or feelings. This approach has shaped much of modern psychology and continues to influence how we learn, interact, and even change habits. As we journey through the key ideas, you'll discover how simple principles can explain complex human actions. Let's begin by understanding what behavioral psychology really means and why it matters in our everyday lives. Behavioral psychology emerged in the early 20th century as a reaction against introspective methods that focused on the mind's inner workings. Pioneers like John B. Watson argued that psychology should be a science based on observable and measurable behaviors. This shift marked a turning point, moving away from speculation about thoughts and feelings to a focus on actions that could be seen and studied. By emphasizing objectivity and scientific rigor, behaviorism laid the groundwork for experiments that would reveal the laws of learning and behavior. Let's look at the key figures who shaped this movement. John B. Watson is often called the father of behaviorism. He believed that all behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment. Watson's famous experiments, such as the Little Albert study, demonstrated how emotional responses could be conditioned in humans. His work challenged previous notions that behavior was largely inherited or instinctual. Instead, Watson argued that with the right environmental influences, anyone could be trained to perform any task. His ideas sparked debates and inspired a generation of psychologists to study behavior in new ways. One of the foundational concepts in behavioral psychology is classical conditioning. This principle was first described by Ivan Pavlov, a Russian physiologist, who discovered that dogs could learn to associate a neutral stimulus, like a bell, with food, eventually salivating at the sound alone. Classical conditioning explains how we form associations between events and how these associations can shape our emotional and behavioral responses. This concept is not just limited to animals, it also helps explain human behaviors such as phobias and preferences. Ivan Pavlov's experiments with dogs are legendary in the field of psychology. By ringing a bell before presenting food, Pavlov noticed that the dogs began to salivate at the sound of the bell alone, even when no food was present. This demonstrated that a neutral stimulus could become associated with a natural response through repeated pairings. Pavlov's findings laid the foundation for understanding how behaviors can be conditioned and how learning occurs through association. This simple yet powerful experiment continues to influence psychological research today. In classical conditioning, it's important to distinguish between unconditioned and conditioned stimuli. An unconditioned stimulus naturally triggers a response, like food causing salivation. A conditioned stimulus, on the other hand, is originally neutral but comes to elicit a response after being paired with the unconditioned stimulus. Understanding these terms helps clarify how new behaviors are learned and why certain triggers can evoke strong reactions, even if they seem unrelated at first glance. Classical conditioning isn't just a laboratory phenomenon, it has real-world applications. For example, advertisers use it to create positive associations with products by pairing them with appealing images or music. Therapists use classical conditioning principles to help people overcome fears and phobias through gradual exposure. Even in everyday life, we develop likes and dislikes based on repeated experiences. Understanding how classical conditioning works can help us recognize and even change some of our automatic reactions. Another cornerstone of behavioral psychology is operant conditioning, introduced by B.F. Skinner. Unlike classical conditioning, which focuses on associations between stimuli, operant conditioning is about learning from the consequences of our actions. Behaviors that are followed by rewards are more likely to be repeated, while those followed by punishment are less likely to occur. This principle helps explain how habits form and why certain behaviors persist over time. E.F. Skinner took the study of behavior to new heights with his experiments using the Skinner box. In these experiments, animals like rats or pigeons learned to press levers or peck keys to receive food rewards. Skinner demonstrated how reinforcement and punishment could shape behavior over time. His work provided a systematic way to study learning and paved the way for practical applications in education, therapy, and even business management. Operant conditioning relies on two main concepts: reinforcement and punishment. Reinforcement increases the likelihood of a behavior while punishment decreases it. There are positive and negative forms of both. Positive reinforcement adds something pleasant like a reward, while negative reinforcement removes something unpleasant. Similarly, punishment can involve adding an unpleasant consequence or taking away something desirable. Understanding these mechanisms helps explain how we learn from experience and why some habits are hard to break. Not all reinforcement is delivered in the same way. Skinner identified different schedules of reinforcement, such as fixed or variable intervals and ratios. For example, a fixed ratio schedule rewards behavior after a set number of responses, while a variable ratio schedule rewards after an unpredictable number. These schedules influence how quickly behaviors are learned and how resistant they are to extinction. Slot machines, for instance, use variable ratio schedules to keep people playing. Shaping is a technique used in operant conditioning to teach complex behaviors by reinforcing small steps toward the desired action. Instead of waiting for the full behavior to occur, trainers reward successive approximations. This method is widely used in animal training, education, and therapy. By breaking down tasks into manageable parts, shaping makes learning new skills more achievable and less overwhelming. Extinction occurs when a conditioned response gradually disappears because it is no longer reinforced. In classical conditioning, this might happen if the conditioned stimulus is repeatedly presented without the unconditioned stimulus. In operant conditioning, extinction happens when a behavior is no longer followed by a reward. Understanding extinction helps explain why some habits fade over time, while others persist if they are occasionally reinforced. Even after a behavior has been extinguished, it can sometimes reappear suddenly, a phenomenon known as spontaneous recovery. This shows that learned associations are not always completely erased but may be suppressed. Spontaneous recovery highlights the persistence of learning and the importance of context in triggering old behaviors. It's a reminder that changing habits often requires ongoing effort and awareness. Neuralization occurs when a learned response is triggered by stimuli similar to the original conditioned stimulus. For example, a dog conditioned to salivate to a bell might also respond to a similar sound. Discrimination, on the other hand, is the ability to distinguish between different stimuli and respond only to the specific one that was conditioned. These processes help us adapt our behaviors to new situations while maintaining important distinction. Behavioral psychology has led to the development of behavior modification techniques used to change unwanted behaviors and encourage positive ones. Techniques like token economies, timeouts, and systematic desensitization are widely used in schools, therapy, and even workplaces. By applying the principles of reinforcement and punishment, these methods help people achieve personal goals, overcome challenges, and improve their quality of life. Token economy is a structured system where individuals earn tokens for displaying desired behaviors. These tokens can later be exchanged for rewards or privileges. Token economies are commonly used in classrooms, therapy settings, and even some workplaces to motivate positive behavior. By providing immediate feedback and tangible incentives, these systems make it easier to reinforce good habits and track progress over time. Systematic desensitization is a therapeutic technique used to help people overcome fears and anxieties. It involves gradually exposing a person to the feared object or situation while teaching relaxation techniques. Over time, the anxiety response diminishes, and the person can face their fears more comfortably. This method is based on the principles of classical conditioning and has proven effective for treating phobias and other anxiety disorders. Timeouts are a common disciplinary technique based on behavioral principles. When a child misbehaves, they are removed from a reinforcing environment for a short period. This reduces the likelihood of the unwanted behavior occurring. Timeouts are most effective when used consistently and paired with positive reinforcement for good behavior. They provide a clear consequence without resorting to harsh punishment. Behavioral therapy applies the principles of behavioral psychology to help people change problematic behaviors. Therapists work with clients to identify triggers, set goals, and develop strategies for change. Techniques like exposure therapy, reinforcement, and modeling are commonly used. Behavioral therapy is effective for a wide range of issues, including anxiety, depression, and addiction, making it a valuable tool in mental health care. While classical and operant conditioning focus on direct experience, social learning theory emphasizes learning through observation. Albert Bandura proposed that people can learn new behaviors by watching others, a process called modeling. This theory explains how children pick up language, social skills, and even aggressive behaviors by observing parents, peers, or media figures. Social learning bridges the gap between behaviorism and cognitive psychology. Albert Bandura's famous Bobo doll experiment demonstrated the power of observational learning. Children who watched adults behave aggressively toward a Bobo doll were more likely to imitate that behavior themselves. This experiment showed that learning can occur without direct reinforcement, simply by observing others. Bandura's work expanded the scope of behavioral psychology and highlighted the importance of role models in shaping behavior. Modeling is the process of learning by watching others and imitating their actions. This can happen consciously or unconsciously, and it plays a major role in socialization. Children learn language, manners, and problem-solving skills by observing parents, teachers, and peers. Modeling is also used in therapy to teach new skills or behaviors by demonstrating them in a supportive environment. Vicarious reinforcement occurs when we observe someone else being rewarded for a behavior, making us more likely to imitate that behavior ourselves. This concept helps explain why people are influenced by the actions of others, especially those they admire or see as authority figures. Vicarious reinforcement is a powerful force in shaping social norms and group behavior. Behavioral psychology has had a major impact on education. Teachers use reinforcement to encourage participation, praise to motivate effort, and modeling to demonstrate new skills. Classroom management strategies often rely on behavioral principles to create positive learning environments. By understanding how students learn and respond to feedback, educators can design more effective lessons and support student success. Parents often use behavioral techniques, sometimes without realizing it. Rewarding good behavior, setting clear consequences, and modeling appropriate actions are all grounded in behavioral psychology. Consistency is key. Children learn best when expectations and consequences are predictable. By applying these principles, parents can guide their children's development and foster positive habits. Behavioral psychology has influenced fields beyond psychology, including economics. Behavioral economics studies how psychological factors affect decision-making, often leading people to act in ways that are not strictly rational. Concepts like reinforcement, punishment, and social learning help explain consumer choices, saving habits, and responses to incentives. This interdisciplinary approach has led to new strategies for encouraging healthy and financially sound behavior. Behavioral psychology plays a crucial role in promoting healthy habits. Techniques like reinforcement, goal setting, and modeling are used to encourage exercise, healthy eating, and medication adherence. Health campaigns often use behavioral principles to design effective messages and interventions. By understanding the factors that influence behavior, professionals can help people make lasting changes for better health. Behavioral psychology is also applied in the workplace to improve performance, motivation, and teamwork. Managers use reinforcement to recognize achievements, set clear expectations, and provide feedback. Training programs often incorporate modeling and shaping to teach new skills. By fostering a positive work environment, organizations can boost productivity and employee satisfaction. While behavioral psychology has made significant contributions, it has also faced criticism. Some argue that focusing solely on observable behavior ignores the importance of thoughts, emotions, and internal processes. Critics say that behaviorism can be too simplistic and fails to account for the complexity of human experience. Despite these criticisms, behavioral principles remain valuable tools for understanding and changing behavior. The mid-20th century, the cognitive revolution shifted psychology's focus back to mental processes like thinking, memory, and problem-solving. Cognitive psychologists argued that understanding behavior requires looking at how people process information. This movement led to the development of cognitive behavioral therapy, which combines behavioral techniques with strategies for changing thoughts and beliefs. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a widely used approach that blends behavioral and cognitive techniques. Therapists help clients identify negative thought patterns and replace them with healthier ones, while also using reinforcement and exposure to change behaviors. CBT is effective for treating a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, and addiction, and is supported by extensive research. Behavioral assessment involves observing and measuring behavior to identify patterns and triggers. This information is used to develop personalized intervention plans. Assessments can take place in schools, clinics, or homes, and often involve input from teachers, parents, or caregivers. By gathering objective data, professionals can track progress and adjust strategies as needed. Functional analysis is a method used to identify the purpose or function of a behavior. By analyzing the antecedents, what happens before, the behavior itself, and the consequences, what happens after, professionals can determine why a behavior occurs. This understanding is crucial for designing effective interventions that address the root causes rather than just the symptoms. Ethics play a vital role in behavioral psychology. Practitioners must ensure that interventions respect individuals' rights and dignity. Informed consent, confidentiality, and the use of least restrictive methods are key ethical principles. By adhering to ethical guidelines, professionals protect clients and maintain public trust in behavioral interventions. Behavioral psychologists use a variety of research methods to study behavior, including experiments, observations, and case studies. Controlled experiments allow researchers to test hypotheses and identify cause and effect relationships. Observational studies provide insights into behavior in natural settings. By combining different methods, researchers build a comprehensive understanding of how and why behaviors occur. Animal studies have played a crucial role in the development of behavioral psychology. Experiments with rats, pigeons, and dogs have revealed fundamental principles of learning and behavior. These studies provide valuable models for understanding human behavior and have led to practical applications in training, therapy, and education. Behavioral genetics explores the role of heredity in shaping behavior. While behaviorism emphasizes the environment, genetic factors also play a part. Twin and adoption studies help researchers understand the interplay between genes and experience. This field bridges the gap between biological and behavioral approaches, offering a more complete picture of human behavior. Behavioral neuroscience examines how the brain and nervous system influence behavior. Advances in brain imaging and neurobiology have revealed the neural mechanisms underlying learning, memory, and emotion. By integrating behavioral and biological perspectives, researchers gain deeper insights into the causes of behavior and potential treatments for psychological disorders. Behavioral psychology has contributed to effective treatments for addiction. Techniques like contingency management, cue exposure, and behavioral counseling help individuals change addictive behaviors. By focusing on triggers, rewards, and coping strategies, behavioral interventions support recovery and reduce the risk of relapse. Applied behavior analysis, ABA, is a widely used intervention for children with autism. ABA uses reinforcement and shaping to teach communication, social, and daily living skills. By breaking tasks into small steps and providing consistent feedback, ABA helps children make meaningful progress and improve their quality of life. Behavioral techniques are effective for managing anxiety disorders. Exposure therapy, relaxation training, and systematic desensitization help individuals confront fears and reduce avoidance. By gradually facing anxiety-provoking situations, people can build confidence and regain control over their lives. Behavioral psychology continues to evolve, integrating new findings from neuroscience, genetics, and technology. Digital interventions such as apps and online programs are making behavioral techniques more accessible. As research advances, behavioral psychology will play an even greater role in promoting well-being and addressing complex social challenges. Let's recap the foundational concepts of behavioral psychology. We've covered classical and operant conditioning, reinforcement and punishment, social learning, and practical applications in therapy, education, and beyond. Understanding these principles helps us make sense of human behavior and offers tools for positive change. Whether you're a student, parent, or professional, behavioral psychology provides valuable insights for everyday life. Behavioral psychology has transformed our understanding of how people learn, change, and grow. By focusing on observable actions and the power of reinforcement, this approach has led to effective strategies for improving lives. As you reflect on these foundations, consider how behavioral principles shape your own habits and interactions. The journey of understanding behavior is ongoing, and the tools of behavioral psychology remain as relevant as ever.